Strategy Gaming Dojo, where we find, learn, and play one more turn of the great strategy games. And today we're going to continue on with Gary Grigsby's War in the Pacific AE. And we are in turn 7. We're setting up for turn 7. Now, last time on Monday, I said, hey, we're going to go set up Java. Well, that did not go as planned. Much like World War II itself, we ended up doing some other things. So we looked kind of all over the map. We checked out what's going on with potentially the main Japanese task force. We think we know where it is, out here just south of the main islands. We think it's steaming back up that way. So we had a submarine that we think spotted some aircraft coming off what could really only be a carrier, probably. So we did that. We also dealt with some damage. So up here in near Rangoon, we have a couple of ships on fire, in trouble. We dealt with that a little bit. We also just set up some other ships over here near the Philippines because we have what seems to be an unescorted Japanese task force that has some troop transports. It has some cargo. Hey, David. David's in the house. What's going on, man? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. I'm feeling great today. I didn't have to wear a hat. I finally got to go get a haircut because out here in California, they finally opened everything back up, at least limited wise. So I got to go get a haircut and go drink some margaritas last night. So I'm feeling great. Taco Tuesday yesterday. We could finally celebrate it in style. Hey, Bayard, what's going on? Commander Bayard in the house. Always good to have you here, Bayard, just in case I missed something. It's you're my Chester Nimitz over my shoulder. David, oh yeah, I didn't start the War in the East yesterday. I did the last tutorial, part 12 of the War in the East tutorial, which was kind of just a grand strategy. We talked a little bit more about ground combat. Tomorrow, we start at 10 a.m. With our very first War in the East live stream. That should be fun. We're gonna, maybe run some recon flights, go through each unit, think about where, we want everybody to go, what their objectives are, and get the air war started anyway. And then, yeah, we'll be doing that then on Thursday, Saturday, Tuesday, kind of deal. And then always doing these on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. And then also, I think, I've had enough people ask me, I think we'll start doing War in the West as well. We might as well just make this the Gary Grigsby channel. Maybe I can get Gary Grigsby to show up here in my my office, and he can help us with the live stream. Probably not. Gary probably has a few too many millions of dollars to be showing up in my living room. But who knows? Who knows? We'll turn it into the Grigsby channel. Let's see. Okay, so let's get to Java. Let's go do it. The beautiful Swerbaya. Now that I'm pronouncing it correctly, you may remember when we started the tutorials, I think I was saying Swerbaha, and somebody corrected me. Someone that lives, I think maybe either in Australia or out this way anyway, and said, no, that's actually Swerbaya. I'm probably still a little off, but they actually sent me one of those. Hey, what's up, Stanley? Azutek says thanks for the tutorial videos. I'm glad they helped. I think everybody with this game, when you first start out, you need a little help. The rule book is just not up to date, and it does not get more complicated than this game until you get your arms around it. And I think once you get your arms around it, it all kind of makes sense how you give the orders and whatnot. Although I was thinking about War in the East, getting ready to do that Let's Play, and I thought, people say that this game is so complicated, but compared to War in the Pacific, there's a lot less moving pieces in the East, So it's... I can't imagine anybody saying that that's more complicated than this War in the Pacific, just because there's so many parts. I've been going through the spreadsheet setting up these turns, and I keep taking things off or turning them red on the spreadsheet so I don't have to look at them again, or orange. And we still got 3,500 moving pieces out there, so it's really something. Yeah, Stanley, I know. The thing is if you haven't been to a place, or you just, there's no reason I would know the names in Java, but if you've never been there, especially, sometimes it's hard to know exactly what the pronunciation, what you put your emphasis on, or whether the J is a J or a Y or an H, or, So I try my best. I try my best. I barely speak English, and I barely do that well. So much less anything that might be Dutch or German or otherwise. So anyway, let's actually do Java this time. And let's pull it up. Let's pull it up on the spreadsheet. And where do we start? We start in Bandoang. Bandoang. I do believe Bandoang is right here, and yes, it is. Now, Bandoang has a decent, it's got a 3 airfield. That's not bad. It does have a garrison requirement here. Let's see what that is. It's only a 20, so question whether we really need to have. Well, this has got a 19 assault. Does this have any assault? Oh, that's why we have 2 infantry units here. The base force does not have any assault value, which is too bad. I mean, ultimately, I guess, your infantry down here at Bandoang maybe isn't the biggest deal in the world, but we've got this 83 assault strength unit that's just sitting here because we've only got 19 between these other 2 units, and we need 20 for the garrison. We may have to move some things around. I'd rather have that 83 up here at Batavia. What's this part of? Yeah, they're all part of this. Now, this came up on the channel. I've been calling it the NIL Army Command, and I just figured that was the Kingdom of the Netherlands, something or something. I should probably look that up, but I've just been calling it NIL. Now, somebody on the channel said the K stood for something in either Dutch or German. I'm going to look that up before next time. Maybe I should have done it before the Java one, but I will do it before Friday when we continue to talk about Java. So anyway, we've got this 83 assault strength unit back here that I would really rather have in Batavia. What do we have in Batavia? Do we have something that's just got like we got to keep the base force here. We got to keep some engineers here in the AA. Do we have just like a small, this is 64, 66. We've got this cavalry with a 57. Yeah, I mean, we don't have really anything great. What's down here? Oh, this is just a base force at Khalidjati, I'm going to call it. What do we have out here at Morocco? Just the base force. All right, well, we'll deal with that as it comes. I guess if it really becomes an issue that we have an 83 assault strength infantry here at Bandoang, we're probably in a little bit of trouble in Java. Anyway, so what do we have here? We have some of these 139 WH-3s, okay? If you're familiar with this aircraft, good for you. They are medium bombers. We've got them training for naval attack at an altitude of 7,000. Okay, that all looks good. That's the first group. And then we have the second group training ASW. Good. Wow, look at this, setting them all up correctly. I'm going to turn both of those yellow on the spreadsheet just to indicate their training. When the Japanese do get within, let's say 15 or 20 hexes, we've spotted them out there. We will get them active, get them up in the air. Yeah, Bayard asked, can that assault value 19 LCU reinforce to a 20? I'm sure it can, actually, Bayard, and that's probably, well, let's see. Yeah, we've got quite a bit damaged here, right? So maybe I'll turn on the replacements and turn on maybe some nil militia squad. When it comes to it, I'm trying to think those nil militia squads, where exactly would you want to use them? You may want to use them, out here at Tarakan or Balikpapan, or I don't even think they would get to Monado, but maybe down here at Kendari or Makassar, even Ambon, but really, where are you going to use them? Probably Batavia and Surabaya. If we build this up and get that to a 20, we can move that 83 down to Batavia. It's almost like reinforcing down at Batavia anyway, right? Right. Yeah, we'll get those back in fighting shape. I am going to turn replacements on although I don't think they need them. Let's see what the tow is on this. That's 36. You're absolutely right, Bayard, and that's why you're my Chester Nimitz. So we'll turn those replacements off because they actually, and what I was saying there, so see here, nil militia squad, 19 are damaged, 17 are in good shape, adding up to 36. I'm no mathematician, but I think that's 36. And let's look at what their ideal TOE is. Well, it just happens to be 36. And so if those get back up into fighting shape, we will have, a few more assault strength that will update dynamically. And sure enough, we'll have over 20 for the garrison. And I'm actually kind of curious. I bet you that Cole, as we work down here, yep, sure enough. I was going to say, I'm sure that he is telling us to move that 83 assault strength unit eventually when those things build up, because he's very good about doing that, looking at the units and saying, hey, if this builds up to such and such assault strength to get you over the garrison requirement, then you rail this other unit somewhere. And indeed, just looking down here, it looks like that's what he's done. So moving down Bandoang, the airfield, light industry, manpower, resources. Okay, we've got all those things here. 20 light industry, not bad. 20 resources, 4 manpower. It's something. We'll turn those all red. There's really no reason to look at those. Now, if the island, if Java comes under a lot of bombing pressure, and it looks for some reason that we may lose Java, we may want to turn repair off on these things. Always keep that in mind, that every island, as the Japanese get to a place and then they start bombing the crap out of it, if you think you're eventually going to lose it no matter what, I mean, even if you're putting up a defense, but you're just saying in your mind, you're saying, you know what, we're eventually going to lose Java. Then you want to go ahead and turn the repair off on these. So, on the light industry, if we pull up the light industry, we would just click here on repair, turn that off. Why do we do that? Well, of course, because if the Japanese are bombing it, and they're going to take it over, they're essentially bombing their own facility that they're going to have as they move forward. So it's always nice to turn those off, let them bomb their own stuff, and if they're going to take it, at least make them pay for it a little bit. So let's go. Okay, let's go down the spreadsheet. Bandoang. All right, we have the 5807, which is an anti-aircraft, but we moved that to Swerbaya. We set objective to Samlaki. Wow, okay. So let's go look for this unit. Where the heck did that end up? I'm sure I set it up perfectly, so we won't have to worry about that, right? Down here, it is the 5807. It is anti-aircraft, and there it is, sure enough. And we set it to Samlaki. We are going to buy this out. It's 16, and it's 16 points. It's 16 political points to buy out this command. Okay, we've got 169. Let's go ahead and do it while we're here. And we're going to buy it out to the big general overall command, the ABDA headquarters. And when we do that, that's also, of course, we're changing within the command. We didn't even have the option to get out of the command. But when you change this, you can take it off the island. Okay, so we'll pay the 16 points. Great. And now Samlaki. Now, we have got transports here, obviously. We actually have some transports that aren't doing jack here at Swerbaya. For now, I'm going to leave that unit. I'm going to turn it green. And when we get down to Swerbaya, make sure you remind me. But hopefully I'll remember. Normally I would jot this down in notes, but I'm not going to make you guys sit here, watch me like I'm in a college freshman, write down notes. When we get down to Swerbaya, we'll throw this on a transport and send it to Samlaki. I'm going to call it Samlaki. That's just kind of fun. Where exactly is Samlaki? I guess I should probably know that. When I see it, I'm going to say, oh yeah, that's where Samlaki is. But sometimes you need to come look, right? How do I spell it? Did I spell it wrong? S-A-U. SAU. Okay. Am I totally missing? Oh, there it is. Jeez. 78-117. Ah, of course. Okay. So it is down here. Actually, this is kind of an interesting place, Somlaki. You can get up to a 5 airfield. It doesn't have much of a port. It's a level 1. But, you know, obviously, Koapang, Somlaki, Darwin, you know, this will be probably, let's look at Babar. Babar can only go to a 4. Taberfane can go to a 5 if you wanted it to. Okay. Dobo could go to a 5. So all of these are kind of similar. We do have something down here at Babar. Oh, that's right. We set up an aircraft tender down here at Babar in case we want to bring some float planes in here. And so this AA will be going to Somlaki. I assume later we should probably bring something else down there. Otherwise, why have the AA? Although you may just be trying to deny it to the Japanese in some respects. If they get down here, although they would probably go after Koapang. I usually build up Koapang. It's a 3 port already. A 4 could build into a 6 airfield. So Koapang is a nice, a nice place between Surabaya and Darwin, kind of as that jumping base. It's got quite a bit there. You could take it all the way to a level 7 airfield if you wanted to. Now we've almost maxed out the port, and it would take a crap ton of supplies to build that much higher. But interesting. Okay, so we'll take this AA down to Somlaki. Fine, but I don't want to do it right now because there's other stuff that we're going to move around at Surabaya, and so I don't want to get the 1 unit onto the transport and then say, oh crap, I should have put something else on there. So let's not do that yet. Then we have this infantry, the 5810. We're back up here at Bandoang. We have the 5810. It is this unit. This is the unit we were talking about with the 83 assault value. And yes, of course, Cole was on top of this. He said garrison set objective to Surabaya. Now, I was talking about Batavia. He said after the 4th Nil Landstrom battalion arrives and repairs the +20 AV, then rail it to Surabaya. Now, he does note that this is a very good Dutch unit overall. You don't see too many Dutch units that get up into the 80s or higher. This costs, if we were going to buy it out of this command, 400 well, right now it's 547 points. Now, Cole said 418. That was probably on turn 1, but it seems that these things are repairing, things are getting back to full strength. This very easily, with the damage I see here, could get quite a bit over 100. And so that is a very nice unit. We are going to send that to Surabaya. MW asks how the war is coming along. Well, right now it is coming along slowly, of course, just in turn 7. But this is a lot of fun. I like to move around the map and learn more about these things. And so things are looking good as far as, turn 6 resolved really well. We've got, we're doing well. The air war is going well. We haven't lost any ships that we shouldn't have at this point, and that's really the first 50 turns or so as the Allies. As long as you're not losing ships that you should not, and what are those? Anything kind of over 8 points, I hate to lose. Now, we lost a couple of battleships at Pearl Harbor. There was nothing we could do about that. But other than that, I do not believe we've lost a ship that's even in double digits. And so that's going well. We've shot down more Japanese planes. Now, I will say that the ground war in China always keeps you a little on edge. It's hard to tell whether that's going well or poorly because it's hard to tell who's surrounding who. We're trying to surround the Japanese. They're trying to surround us. At some point, the musical chair stops and somebody has surrounded someone else. We don't know that yet, but that'll probably be the most challenging place, at least early on. That's for sure. So yeah, okay. So now we know what we're doing with this. We've got it set for Surabaya. I guess I would have known that if I just would have looked at the future objective. But that's great. We'll keep that green, and we'll look at that next time around. Now we have the base force. That's not going anywhere at Bandoang. and so we'll turn that. I'll turn it orange. If we did need the base force somewhere else, we could move it down there for some reason. Let's see if it has any aviation support, which is really what you're looking for. Yeah, it does, and we've got planes running out of here, right? But if for some reason Batavia got low on aviation support or Swerbaya, we could always move it around. It does have some AA guns. Nice. So it's got 4 of the 80 millimeters, 4 of the 40 millimeters, and 4 of the 20 millimeters. So it's got some decent AA. Can throw some flak out in the air. That's nice. Now we're going to go to Banjo Wangi. Banjo Wangi. That sounds like a bad country song. Where is Banjo Wangi? I haven't looked at Java here in the last few turns. Then I always forget exactly where the towns are. Oh, it's this down here on, kind of the southeastern foot of Java. Now, it's hard to tell from the flag exactly which island it's on. I just happen to know it's on this island. And you see it's got some major roads and a minor railway that run into it. We just have a base force here. We have turned the replacements on that base force, so it's building up a little bit. What are we going to do with this? Probably not a whole lot, but it can build into a 7 airfield. So if, things get bad in Swerbaya or something like that, we can always run some aircraft down here. This has 6 aviation support. That's not a whole lot. 2 are damaged, so it could eventually have 8. We could run a squadron of planes out of here if we wanted to, but we're going to turn those orange. Probably not a whole lot is going to happen with them. They will be there as kind of a backstop if for some reason the runway, and when I say if something happens, like at Swerbaya or Batavia, if the runway gets to the point where we might not be able to run missions off of it, it's nice to have some of these backups where you can move the squadrons back to Jilajap or down here, or any of these places where we just were, Bandoang. You can then go use those runways if your runways are getting marked up and you can't get aircraft off of them, or you're afraid you're about to get to that point. So now we're into Batavia. Nice. All right. First of all, we've got 4 ships in port. We've got 55 aircraft here. It does have a garrison requirement, although, of course, that's not really a concern. We want to have a lot of stuff in Batavia. Batavia has really good supply, 48,000 right now, 21,000 fuel, and that fuel should grow. Some of the things we bring out of Palembang will probably make a quick stop here at Batavia. I do like to pull fuel from Palembang down to Oosthaven, but I also sometimes will make this quick little run down here just to get it out of Palembang, get it to Batavia, and then once it's hooked up to this main rail line here, you could bring ships into Jilajap and get a lot of that fuel. It'll get turned into fuel. As you can see, we have light industry of 80 in Batavia, 40 heavy industry, 60 resources. So that is just going to crank supply as you get fuel into the system there. It also has manpower of 16. So obviously one of the 2 major cities here on Java. And what else do we got going on? We've got quite a few task forces that are sitting here. We have some PT boats, some more PT boats. I think, trying to think if these started here. They may have. I can't remember if they started here or if we brought these out of Palembang. I just don't remember off the top of my head. Now we've got these PT boats thinking about Billiton. And where's Billiton? Billiton is right here, and you see we've got several task forces there. We're building up sort of a float plane base so we can bring some float planes down in here. Now Cole loves to do that on his spreadsheet, and it's interesting. It's a more advanced concept, to be sure. If you're first starting out the game, running a float plane base out of a little island like this may be a little challenging. So, it is what it is. I must say I'm not sure that I generally run a float plane base off of Billiton and Jalo, as Cole sets it up as. I'm sure it's probably the best way and most efficient. I just find it sort of difficult for those things to accomplish much. But that's fine. You know, sending some PT boats up there isn't going to be the end of the world. Let's look at that. They have no anti-sub. They've got 10 anti-aircraft, you know, so they've got, you know, they can shoot guns up in the air essentially, and they've got a 1 victory value. So whatever, it's just not a big deal. PT bulletin. Well, let's go down the spreadsheet. I was going to say, let's send those PT boats up there, because when I just play the game myself, I'd be like, oh, I see that. I just go ahead and give it the orders, but let's stay organized. So at Batavia, we've got this 2907 group. So we're going through the planes first. Here they are. 9 of these, 139 WH-3 medium level bombers. Okay, I'll tell you, this is another thing, and I've maybe talked about this a little bit, but, you know, these bombers are going to come under pressure. It's questionable how much offensive action they can even take. Now, we will eventually do some naval attack as the main Japanese task force either comes from the direct north or comes from the direct east. We will get them up in the air and whatnot, but also be thinking about your bombers. Where else can they go to get out of the line of fire? Because right now, what you're really worried about is cap, and using your fighters to run cap over your cities once the Japanese get here. But initially, we will have them run out some naval attack. Now, right now, we're having them train. Great. They're up to, you know, they've got a 51 experience. Their morale is fantastic, probably because they're, you know, sitting at the nice oceanside bars there in Batavia, so they're feeling good. They're like, the Japanese are nowhere close, and they have very high morale. But we're going to turn them yellow. They're training. And then we have some fighters below that, the 2917s, or Squadron 2917. Okay, that's this one. Training, 10,000 feet, range 0, escort, training escort. Excellent. We'll turn that yellow and get them, again, I turn them yellow because as the Japanese get within 15 to 20 hexes, we'll get these guys live. And I just want to be able to quickly look at the spreadsheet as the Japanese get close to Java and say, oh, okay, what can I get up in the air? And it's just a quick way to do that. 2908 is actually doing some naval search for us. And there's this unit. It is 8 planes. It starts at 0 and goes to 050 as far as its arc. We're getting 50% of them up. We're training 20%, and this looks good. Okay, so we're getting a little double coverage here. Directly north over Palembang, that's what the black lines signify, is that you're getting those in the morning and in the afternoon. So the blue is the morning, the green is the afternoon, and then we green again, which turns this black. So you're getting double coverage where it's black there. If we upped this up to like 60 or 70%, which we may do as the Japanese get close, we may be running a mission in each sector, both in the morning and in the afternoon, but we shall see. We're going to turn that, I'm going to leave that green because we may change that. I want to make sure that I don't have it orange and I just skip over it as the Japanese get close. Now, normally I would come look at every air unit that are close, you know, that's close, but, you know, just to make sure. Then we had some VLG-3s that we transferred out to Balikpapan to do some naval search. So let's go over to Balikpapan, and this squadron is squadron number 2909. Are they still here? I may have moved them, and I think I did. Where did I put them? I went off spreadsheet with these guys, and I don't think I made a note like I usually would. Did I put them in Makassar? No. All right, well, let's go look at our land-based air units. We are looking for 3 VLG-3. Oh boy, this is going to be needle in the haystack stuff. Now these are bombers. They're 139 WH-3s. I guess let's just look for the 139 H-3s. Here we go. Hey, See, I can do it. 139, it's 4 VIG 3. What did I say? 4, 3, 3 VLG 3. It's these guys. They are in Tajilajap. Oh, okay. And that's how the meatloaf is made. Let's pull them up. Yep, it's 2909. I moved them back to Tajilajap. Just in my effort to get bombers a little bit further back, and also I wanted some bomber um, coverage back here, so I moved them back. I have them doing naval search. I kept this the same. I actually have not, messed around with their search arc that they had up in Batavia. So let's go look at that. Let's see if it makes sense. We got a range of 9. We're flying them at 8,000 feet. Okay, so I have them going directly over the Java Sea right here, kind of this area. Now there will be a lot of Japanese sub activity right in here, but question how much task force, surface force activity there would be. I would actually rather these be going north. So let's do that. And we will get them back. Let's try 340. How many do we have? We have 8. So let's try to do 4 sectors, 340, 350, 360 to, to 20. And let's see what that looks like. All right, we almost have double coverage there. Let's actually move that just 1 over. And maybe make it a little thicker. There we go. I don't like that as well. Let's move it a little bit more to the right. Maybe I will go directly north and then 40. Let's try that. Ah, look at that. That looks beautiful to me. All right, cool. And we've got double coverage over everything. We're almost on the land there here, so we're not doing double in this sector, but we've got double coverage all through here. So if the Japanese do have a surface fleet coming this way, that should work very well. All right. Hi Cube says it's the first time to catch me online. It is very exciting, Hi Cube. You have made it. Here we are. This is what we do every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. But thanks for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. It's a lot of fun. I've got the usual crew here. I've got Stanley. I've got Bayard. I've got is P Warner in here? I don't know if I saw P Warner. I got MW here. So thank you guys so much. It's a lot of fun to do this with you. Okay, so I think this looks pretty good, and it kind of spaces our bombers out a little bit. I didn't want them all at Batavia. And Tajilajap, just moved it back here a little bit. That's fine. It's kind of covering the same area. I really like that right there. Let's turn those. I'll keep them green. I'll keep them green so that I come back and look at them more often. Now, Batavia, the base, the heavy industry, the light industry, manpower, resources, we can turn all that red. If it is getting bombed, we, should know to go and turn repair off. That's just kind of an automatic if you think you're going to lose a place. Now, we hope that that does not come to pass, of course. At Batavia, I'm going to do everything I can to hold on to that. My valiant Dutch fighters there at Batavia, we will not abandon you. So now let's look at, we've got an engineer group. So we're going to go look through the LCUs here. We have this engineer group. They're not going anywhere. We need that. Look at this aviation support, gents. They've got 51 damage. This can go all the way up to 100. And we do have those in the pool. We do have aviation support in the pool, which is not necessarily, well, I say not necessarily, it's not by nationality, right? So aviation support is just aviation support. It's not called Dutch aviation support. Now, we've seen some differentiation, like with the Philippine troops. Those are like PA rifle squads. It's not like this says, nil aviation support or something. So it's not surprising we have some of this in the pool. We really need to think about whether we would want to, open that up, because every unit in the game, you know, that once aviation support would start drawing on that pool and we might get down to zero very quickly. Now we do have, you know, obviously we have control over who is requesting it, but let's look at this TOE, and indeed it is 100. Hopefully I got there before you made the comment, Bayard. It is 100, so it's satisfied. You know, we're going to get to our TOE if these damaged elements just repair. So there's actually no need to bring in, you know, what we see is available in the pool. All right. And what was the support? It was 75, wasn't it? And the engineers are probably 30. Oh, this TOE doesn't even have. Interesting. TOE does. Oh, yeah, it does. Hold on. Click back. Support is 75. Okay. Once this repairs, we'll get there. And hey, it's got some engineers in the unit, which isn't part of the TOE, but we'll take it. All right, so we've got the aviation. Then we have the 1st AA Battalion, which is 5806, would probably be these guys. Okay, excellent. They are here. They are on the ground. They are giving us some AA. It looks like, you know, most of their elements are looking pretty good. They have a little repair to do here, but, you know, for the most part, their AA is intact. Those two units could be bought out, both of them. The original, the aviation unit that we looked at, the engineers, for 45 points, the AA battalion for 18 points, which is pretty cheap, but quite honestly, we're not going to be moving these. They will be here till the bitter end. We've got to have AA, and we've got to have, especially if that gets up to 100 aviation support. Although, I guess, you know, if we know Batavia is going to fall, then we will need to get those engineers out of there. But we'll look at, you know, if that becomes an eventuality, we'll be looking at everything on Java anyway. Oh, interesting. Okay, so now we have an infantry unit here, the 5816, that we're also sending down to Samlaka. 5816. Oh, I got it. We put this in strat move mode. We railed it down to Swervaya, where that AA unit is that we're sending to Samlaki. Let's see, 5816, there they are. So these guys, so they're a 16. They could build up to what looks, you know, approximately a 30. These nil militia squads, we're going to need to go look at those in production. It looks like we have them in the pool. So that may be something we want to turn on in general, you know, up at the big production level, so that as we want to pull these, and when I say turn them on, they're being produced either way. What we would want to do is turn the stockpiling off. Right. As of right now, we have all of the stockpiling turned on, so these things are not being released. If we turned replacements on, it would say replacements delayed, because none of them are being released from the stockpile. Why don't we just go look at that? I've been talking a lot about it. Let's go look at the nil. Now you can see here, I turned the stockpiling off on Chinese cavalry squads, Chinese engineer squads, okay? It's on for all of this stuff. I turned it off for Chinese rifle squads, which could be a controversial decision to some. Support. For this turn, I turned it off because I want to get some of the support and motorized support. Oh, and I did turn off aviation and naval support as well. Let's turn those back on. I was going through this last night and I thought, maybe I want to do that. Let's turn all of those back to stockpiling. Okay. All of this is being stockpiled. I did turn off for the 37 millimeters because those appear in some of the Philippine units, and I'm trying to get. Stanley says not making those notes are fatal. It is indeed. That's why I have you guys, Stanley. I just assume you've got your notepad in front of you, maybe an ice cold beer, which I don't know if those two things will work well together. But I just assume that you're taking notes for me. I know Bayard might be. Bayard says there aren't that many LCUs that need new naval support. Well, that is probably true, right? And that's a good point. All right, well, I'm going to come back and look at those as I do my kind of final setup. We are also, so the 37 millimeters, 45 millimeters, these anti-tank guns right here, and the AA guns and the anti-tank guns, I turn those off because I was just looking over the Filipino units, and I thought, you know, let's try to beef those up as much as we can. That's the hot spot right now. Uh, this is them. This is them. That should be the name of a TV show. PA Engineer Squad, the Rifle Squads. We have turned the stockpiling off on these. You see, we have quite a few of them, but we need a heck of a lot more than this. But I'm going to try to buff what I can. Stanley says he's got the beer, but not the notepad. Stanley, come on, man. I love it. 37 millimeter AA gun, same reason. These are all Filipino. Oh, so I did turn it off on the nil cav squads. Okay, nice. Why don't we search by name and go to the nil stuff instead of me just going through here and going through every damn. Oh, I guess nil starts with a K, guys. Maybe I'm the one that's already had the beer. Cav squad, combat engineers, militia squad. Ah, look at that. I already turned it off. Sometimes I'm real good. Nil Vickers squad off. Light industry, that always, you know. Why am I talking about that? It doesn't matter. Nil Vickers squad, no. Nil rifle squad. Now, of course, we can't, you know, the Nil Rifle Squad 45 is not available to us yet. As you may have guessed, that is not available till 1945. So I've got all the ones that are currently active turned off to stockpiling. Okay, excellent. All right, so that should start to build up. Let's move a little further down then. We've got these guys. So this is interesting. We've got this infantry squad that we were looking at when I went off onto that tangent. But we've also got them going to Somlaki, and we're going to build up Somlaki a little bit. Now earlier, Bayard had pointed out in the comments that, you know, Somlaki, Babar, Taberfane, Dobo, these can be used by the Japanese to launch attacks on Darwin, and so we will be building up right around here just to make sure, you know, we're building a lot of these other things. You just don't want the Japanese to just say, oh, well, forget it. We'll just skip all the way past there, take Somlaki, and then we'll just hit Darwin from there. So we'll be building up, you know, these bases here to make sure that they cannot do that. So I'm going to keep that unit green because we are going to go back in this turn when we get down to Swerbaya and figure out where we need to be sending things there and how many transports we have, etc. So continuing with Batavia, we've got an infantry regiment. Now, all of these things at Batavia could be bought out for a price, but really there's no better place to send them. You know, these are the two main places you're trying to defend. Now, I guess we could buy, you know, of course we are buying some out and sending to Somlaki. We could try to send some up to Palembang and be a little gamey if we wanted to. But most of these things are going to sit here. So the 1st Regiment Cavalier, the 2nd Nil Regiment, the 1st Nil Regiment that are here, those are all going to be orange. I do not plan on moving them. Let's actually go through all of our LCUs and make sure they're all in combat mode for the ones that, oh, now we do have this unit that's going to Morocco. We'll get to that in a second. But everything that's supposed to stay here, now there's another one that's going to move, and another one to Swerbaya. Now Babar, Somlaki, heck, we're moving a lot of this stuff out. Engineers, oh, you know what? Apologies. I was like, that's so weird. I was on Swerbaya. Let's go through Batavia. We've got Batavia, combat, okay, combat. Just always like to click through these, make sure they're all in combat mode, and then you can also, as you're doing that, look at the future objective and just make sure everything is in the right place. It's just a very quick way of doing it. Flip through there, you know, make sure it's in combat mode. At this point, it would always be defend for combat orders, and then, you know, make sure its future objective is set correctly. All right. So now 5821. Unit 5821 we sent to Bandoang. We did that previously. It arrived. We need to turn that to combat mode. Perfect. And this is the one. This is the 19. This is the one that will be staying here. So let's turn that one orange. And I generally like to put a note next to it that says, at Bandoang or Bando, I just put Bandoang. So when you're going through and looking at Batavia, you know that it's there, that it's arrived where it's supposed to be. The Batavia Base Force, the Garrison Coastal Guns, we're not doing anything with those, obviously. They will be there. Also here at Batavia, we have the Far East Command. Let's go look at them for a minute. There they are. The Nil Army Command, Army Headquarters, okay. It is under the command of Hein Portin, all right, or Porten probably. 53 leadership, 58 inspiration, 63 aggression, and he's 64 on the land. Hell, that's not too bad, to be honest with you. We've seen a lot worse up in Malaya. Who do we got here? Floor 1976. Thank you for following. I do appreciate it. Welcome to War in the Pacific, a Gary Grigsby classic. But thank you for following. I do appreciate it. Yeah, so this is a halfway decent leader. This is kind of the big overall command for the Dutch, the Nil Army Command. Now they're also part of the ABCD, but the British, who is in command of the gosh, I hate when I go down these rabbit holes because it's going to absolutely drive me crazy until I know. Here's the command headquarters. Yeah, I figured it. So this is H.R. Brooke Poppin. All right. Interesting. I assume he's British. I don't know. You guys can tell me in the comments. Brooke Poppin sounds so very British to me. I very much doubt he's American. And, well, I mean, I guess he potentially could be Dutch, but I very much doubt it. That's probably British. And actually, the infantry unit shows as brown. That's a good question. Since the main combat headquarters, or the main ABCDE headquarters is here, I just said ABCDE, ABDA, are, I always want to call them ABBA, after the great band ABBA. That's right, Stanley. So yes, the ABDA, yeah, you made me laugh, Stanley. These guys even look British, right? Have you ever seen anybody look more British than that? I have not. They've got those British World War II stashes. They are certainly having tea in the afternoon. Anyway, let's get back to the task at hand. I'm just talking nonsense at this point. Far East Command, okay, they're going to go to, or we did send them to Surabaya. They are there now, and now I was just on them. Let's make sure they're in combat mode. Okay, they are where they're supposed to be. They're going to unpack all of those finely pressed uniforms that they have at the headquarters, and they are where they should be. The Nil Army Command, we just talked about that. It is at Batavia. We're going to leave it there. And so that's a good orange as we move on down the line. Then we have the ML Nil here, the MLD Air Headquarters. We did load those up with 20 torpedoes. All right, that's something we didn't talk exclusively about during the basic tutorials. I mean, I touched on it a little bit. Now I read an article. Is that where I saw this? Or maybe it was just on the Matrix forums, one of the developers talked about the fact that when this game was made, it's such a big game that they had, kind of two different development teams. And we've had Andy Mack, one of the developers on here, I think last Sunday or the Sunday before, talking about the game. And, one of the things that they did, or they had a hard time coming to terms with, is how to handle torpedoes, because evidently, and I mean, I don't know this other than what people have told me, torpedoes are very kind of volatile munitions. They're very hard to move. They're hard to store. They do not lend themselves to transport well. And so there were actually a lot fewer torpedoes than you would think out in the Pacific, because they they were difficult to make, difficult to transport, difficult to store, difficult to load, all of those things. And so there were a lot fewer torpedoes than you would think. And so the developers said, well, how do we limit them? Because obviously the Allies have kind of unlimited capacity to produce munitions, yet torpedoes were not really one of those things. And so they decided to set up torpedoes in the air headquarters. It's an abstraction. That's kind of not really how it was done. These torpedoes would be sitting in a warehouse down at the docks in Batavia, but the way the game handles it is it puts them in these air headquarters, and you have to load these air headquarters up. And one of the ways that they sort of limit you, it's not really a limit, but it kind of functions as a regulator, is that you have to do these 20 at a time. So you cannot request more than 20 at a time, but you can. So if I hit 20 here, if I hit OK, then I could just come right back in here and do 20 again. I guess they figured they were going to tire you out typing 20. So anyway, it's just kind of an interesting fact about the game is that torpedoes are handled this way to try to model or simulate the fact that there were not nearly as many torpedoes as you might suspect out in the Pacific. All right. Hey, a little trip down history lane. We are going to turn that orange. We've got 20 torpedoes in there. As that starts to get light, we will request some more. Now we get into the ships at Batavia, and a lot of these task forces are on their way. We have sent them out there to do their thing. The first thing we have out is the AG Deneb that evidently we sent to Billiton. Did we? Let's find out. And there is the AG Deneb. And this is just us kind of setting up a PT port. So this Deneb is an auxiliary miscellaneous, right? These are kind of floating stores. They can have ammunition, they could have fuel, they could have all sorts of things. When I say that, I'm saying in general, these tenders, these auxiliary boats, they're a floating gas station, or they're a floating ammunition store, whatever the case may be. In this case, we've got them loaded up to resupply PT boats because we are going to be doing PT support and have a lot of PTs here in the area. Now, they are not here yet. As you may remember, we were just talking about them here in Batavia, and I said, I'll get back to those PT boats here in a minute. Now that we're here, we may as well send them out to Billiton now that their tenders, their support have shown up out there. So we will send them out to Billiton. And what we're hoping for, and this has already happened once in the game, where we have taken out a Japanese, I think we took out a Japanese destroyer with a PT boat, which, man, these guys, can you imagine, in this little PT boat, firing on a Japanese destroyer? But they did take it out, and awesome. So we're going to send them out here. They're only worth 1 point, but as the Japanese bring a task force down here, they can sail out very quickly. They're hard to hit. They're quick and they're small. And so hopefully we can get a shot or two in on something a little more important. We also sent the AGPT Alderbahn out here to Billiton. I think it's part of that same group. Is it? The Dahan? The Pulsar? Oh, no, actually, I was wrong about that. We left this at Batavia, that ship, and it's just sitting here. I actually think it's in port. Let's show active ships. And there it is. Yeah, it's sitting here. It's a tender. It's also going to help us with PT boats, but in Batavia. So cool. The next ship down, the Wiga, we just saw that. That is out there at Billiton as well. All right, cool. And then the ships underneath that are local minesweepers. We have local minesweepers. We sent one to Palembang called the Digwell. Gosh, my eyesight's not as good as it used to be. Either that or my second computer's far, far away. Look at all this traffic we have at Palembang. I do think on Friday we'll try to get up to Palembang and take a look. Here is the Digwell local minesweeper Palembang. Fantastic. It is where it's supposed to be. There is no reason we would ever move that. The Jampay is next. That was sent to Merak, not Iraq, Merak, to do local mine sweeping. Then we had one to Kaladate, okay, and then also one to Oosthaven. We'll turn those all orange. They're local minesweepers. They should be where they are. The AMC MMS-A, which is the next ship down, is going to do local minesweeping right here at Batavia. That is probably, well, hold on, this ship. And indeed it is. Excellent. Let's make sure that we've got one. Let's make sure the one at Oosthaven got over here because they will try to mine. Now this is the low, and that is the correct one. Okay, we've got it over there. It's doing its minesweeping. Now we've already seen up here at Singapore our minesweepers actually get quite a few mines and take care of them. So that's excellent. Hold on. Back to the spreadsheet. I have to flip back and forth on my second computer between the spreadsheet and the comments. And so now back over here, here we go. Yeah, what I was talking about was the local minesweepers. They have gotten quite a few mines here at Singapore. They're doing a nice job. We have not hit any mines getting out of Singapore. And, you know, 2 different turns we've seen that mines are being swept. That would be interesting duty. I'd never really seen a documentary or watched anything on minesweepers, but what an interesting kind of boat. They have like those big metal nets that are out, you know. Well, I don't know how they, honestly, I'm not going to say that like I'm some kind of expert on minesweeping. That is what I've seen. Like if you watch like World War II in color or something like that, you know, you'll see those minesweepers have the big nets and they have like the kind of like a crane that goes out, you know, and has the nets down. It just looks fascinating to me that essentially you're looking around, you're trying to explode bombs, which, you know, if you've ever seen that movie, The Hurt Locker, which is about IEDs in Iraq, very similar kind of idea, right? Those guys are like minesweepers on land. Anyway. We then have the AMC MMS-B, which is staying around in Batavia. We haven't done anything with that. Let's go look at that. Maybe we could add it to the A and we could get some double minesweeping. Now, Cull said, you know, await developments. Well, at this point, and this is the ship I'm talking about, it's another minesweeper. I was just looking at this. I'm not that familiar with these ships, what they are exactly. They've got some Browning machine guns on there. Those guys probably shooting those off, trying to hit fish. I mean, I don't see any reason to have that just sitting around. We might as well just transfer it in here and have these guys run local minesweeping together. Now, Cole said await developments, and I mean, basically what he means by that, right, is maybe we need one at Billiton, although we have sent one there, but maybe we need one somewhere else. But for now, I don't see any reason not to put that in with the MMS-A. Then we have another, gosh, there are a lot of minesweepers here. The MMS-C, the MMS-D, one went to Sin Kangwang. I know I said that wrong. And one went to Padang. So they came up here. Sing Kawang. There we go. This made it. Okay, excellent. The one at Padang, I saw that earlier. I know that that made it. And whew, we're all the way through the minesweepers finally. Holy smokes. And with that, our hour is up. Man, it really flies by when I'm doing it with you. I swear if I set this up, you know, doing it live stream and chatting with you guys, it would take me all week. And we would get to Sunday and said, hey, let's resolve. We've been on 24/7 all week. But it is a lot of fun. I'm going to, you know, leave Java. We're going to come back to that on Friday. And then we'll go up, we'll try to look at Palembang really quickly. I saw that the next ship that we have to do is an AO out of Batavia, an oiler that we sent up to get fuel at Palembang. that will give us an opportunity to say, what are all those task forces doing in Palembang? Well, I can tell you, they are picking up fuel and trying to get it out of there as quickly as possible. And so anyway, thank you guys so much, as always. Thanks to the guys that dropped by for the first time. Thanks for those of you that followed and signed up. I do appreciate that. And it's been, as you guys said, time flies when you're having fun. It was a great time. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you on, well, maybe tomorrow if you like War in the East. If you're just doing the War in the Pacific, I'll see you on Friday. Same bat time, bat channel. I'll see you then. Thanks so much, guys. Strategy Gaming Dojo, I'm out.